Good morning, and thank you for stopping into our online worship experience. Today, our theme is No Trouble in My Heart. I'm Pastor Lyda.
And I'm Kimberly Emerson. And we welcome you to Westchester United Methodist Church, a place where everyone is welcome and all are affirmed as beloved children of God.
This is a place where love works. If you have a candle, why don't you grab it now and set that up? And if you have your worry stone handy, a worry stone is a small stone that you can touch or rub when you're feeling anxious or upset. Get that ready too. All right, let's take a moment and center ourselves. Let's center our hearts as one. Let's take a deep breath together. I invite you to place your hand over your heart and to lightly tap together a slow heartbeat rhythm. Holy living God, heartbeat of creation, help us to take this time to center on you. For you made us. You gave us life, and you continue to be with us every moment, every breath, every step. Hear now this assurance from God. Be still, O heart, you're not alone. Your beat is shared with me. Come now and calm and center here. Your mind secure and free. All right, Kimberly, it's my weekly check-in. Are you still carrying your worry stone with you?
You know I am.
If you have one, let's take them out and let's touch its surface to remind us that God's touch is within us, between us, and around us. As close and as real as this object is in our hands right now is how close love is to us always. Let us imagine letting go of our worries right now into God's heart of love. We offer a prayer song of letting go. Into your care we offer now our worries, fears, and strife. We turn to you and know you're near. Your light, our love and life.
If you have a candle, please light it as we set our heart worry stones next to it.
You know, I love the Psalms. There are psalms of praise, there's psalms of comfort, there's psalms of grief, psalms of anger, and what the heck is going on right now, God, kind of psalms. The psalm we will hear today mentions something that we just used. It mentions rocks. Lots of time in the Bible, God is described as a rock, as something that is solid and foundational and secure and a shelter for us in a time of distress. The Psalms writer's voice shares trust in God even as they experience hard times.
I take refuge in you, Lord. Please never let me be put to shame. Rescue me by your righteousness. Listen closely to me. Deliver me quickly. Be a rock that protects me. Be a strong fortress that saves me. You are definitely my rock and my fortress. Guide me and lead me for the sake of your good name. Get me out of this net that's been set for me, because you are my protective fortress. I entrust my spirit into your hands. You, Lord, God of faithfulness, you have saved me. My future is in your hands. Don't hand me over to my enemies, to all who are out to get me. Shine your face on your servant. Save me by your faithful love. Psalm 31, verses 1 through 5 and 15 and 16.
Our future is in the hands of love, in the heart of God. Jesus, as God in the flesh, helps us to know that we are in the house and family of God. He called God Abba, an intimate name that a child would call a parent in the language Jesus spoke. God was not distant, but a parent who loves tenderly, protects faithfully, and wants us to know intimately. Hear Jesus comfort the disciples who are distressed at the thought of living life without him.
Do not let your hearts be troubled. You have faith in God, have faith in me as well. In God's house there are many dwelling places. Otherwise, how could I have told you that I was going to prepare a place for you? I am indeed going to prepare a place for you, and then I will come back to take you with me, that where I am, there you may be as well. You know the way that leads to where I am going.
Thomas replied, "But we don't know where you're going. How can we know the way?"
Jesus told him, I myself am the way. I am truth and I am life. No one comes to Abba God but through me. If you really knew me, you would know Abba God also. From this point on, you know Abba God, and you have seen God.
"Rabbi," Philip said, "show us Abba God, and that will be enough for us."
Jesus replied, have I been with you all this time, Philip, and still you don't know me? Whoever has seen me has seen Abba God. How can you say, show us your Abba? Don't you believe that I am in Abba God and God is in me? The words I speak are not spoken of myself. It is Abba God living in me who is accomplishing the works of God. Believe me that I am in God and God is in me, or else believe because of the works I do. The heart and truth of the matter is, anyone who has faith in me will do the works I do, and greater works besides. Why? Because I go to Abba God, and whatever you ask in my name I will do, so that God may be glorified in me. Anything you ask in my name I will do. John chapter 14, verses 1 through 14 from the Inclusive Bible Translation.
Jesus himself cried out to God from the Hebrew scriptures that were part of his holy texts, "Into your hands I commit my spirit." This is the kind of relationship with God that Jesus wants us to have. Jesus reminded his disciples, and he reminds us, to trust in God when our hearts are troubled. It's okay to be troubled, but we can also know that even while our minds may be working overtime, our hearts can rest assured in God's love. Steadfast love is what God shows and what we are called to offer to each other. In this way, we are also the presence of God through Christ, so that others may know this comfort of the Divine One. Steadfast love. Steadfast love is what God shows and what we are called to offer each other. We are called to offer each other love. Not just to folks in our own neighborhoods, not just to people who we like or to people who think the same way we do. We are called to offer love. It's been a hard news week. And my heart, it's been really troubled, and I don't think I'm alone. My news feed has been filled with the February murder of Mr. Almond Aubrey in Georgia. Again and again, violence against people of color is in the news, in our country, in our neighborhoods, in our lives. I have no words. So today, I'm sharing some of the words of Reverend Wendy Hudson, pastor of Two Rivers United Methodist Church in South Carolina. She writes, "This week, one of my black friends had her 6-year-old daughter called the N-word by a neighbor. Another black friend was followed by a police officer as she drove through a predominantly white town as she visited 2 different friends' homes. Ask any person of color whom you know, violent, racist experiences are a daily occurrence. And the response of us white people is almost always silence." The Reverend Dr. King's words to the white church leaders in Birmingham, Alabama in April of 1963 have never been more true. "I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in the stride towards freedom is not the white citizens' council-er or the Ku Klux Klan-er, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, 'I agree with you and the goal you seek, but I can't agree with your methods of direct action,' who paternalistically feels he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by the myth of time, and who constantly advises the Negro to wait until a more convenient season." So many people are outraged by these acts of racism and violence. But we can't choose to just stay in the outrage, because outrage without action is not going to change anything. It is not going to share God's steadfast love for each and every one of us. A lot of people ask, so what are we supposed to do about it? The economy has crashed. We are sheltering at home. Our lives are being threatened by a virus we can't even see. Unemployment has reached Depression-era levels. And I'm supposed to do something about a murder in Georgia? I believe that if we are to be followers of Jesus, our answer must be yes. Even in the middle of a pandemic, our answer to racism, violence, oppression, and injustice in every form must be yes. To all of us with troubled hearts, to all of us who can find no words, here are a couple of things that we can do even from sheltering at home. You can donate to anti-white supremacy work, such as your local Black Lives Matter chapter, the National Council for Incarcerated or Formerly Incarcerated Women, the NAACP, the Southern Poverty Law Center, the Sentencing Project, Families Against Mandatory Minimums, A New Way of Life, and Dream Defenders. Hey, if you don't have any extra cash right now, I get it. But we can then just join some of these organizations, get on their mailing lists, and take action as their emails dictate. More and more stories of folks encountering racism are being documented and shared through social media against our Black siblings, and in this time of COVID-19, against our Chinese brothers and sisters. When you see such a report or a post or hear about it on the news, call the organization, company, or institution involved and let them know how upset you are. Then spread the word about what happened. Tell your friends and have them contact any institutions involved. Whether the institution initiated the event or failed to protect the person of color from an onslaught by a third party, they need to hear from us. Take a look at how and where you are spending your money. Commit to spending as much of your money as possible to Black, Indigenous, and people of color-owned businesses. Don't support companies who use prison labor and profit by it. Go to the website returntonow.net for a great article about prison labor. Call or write to your state legislators and governor to support statewide criminal justice reform. Study after study shows that racism fuels racial disparities in imprisonment. Like you, there are days where I'm really overwhelmed, and I get that there are so many things happening in our lives right now, and there are days where it seems like we just can't handle one more thing. But God is our rock, even in times such as these. Christ shows us how to live, even when our hearts are troubled. In God's house, there are many rooms. There is room enough for all. Jesus calls us to use our troubled hearts to bring us into love, to speak out against injustice, and to make sure that we are right here and now, making rooms of justice, equality, and love for everyone. Kimberly, have you ever heard of something called a God box? A God box is a place where you can put things that feel too big for you to handle in. Using a God box is a practice of writing down some anxiety that feels too big to handle, something that may feel overwhelming to you, something that troubles your heart. You can also write down something you can't figure out yet, such as a problem you don't know how to deal with at the moment. Letting go of it for just a while sometimes helps free our minds to discover a new way to look at it. It helps give us energy to deal with the challenging things that we must deal with. You can make a God box at home and put some of your worries into it. And, as a matter of fact, I put together some God boxes this week from things that I found around the church. I put together a small God box. I didn't color it yet, but it's something I got from a fast food restaurant. Or you can put together a God envelope, which I've already begun to stuff. And then for those days when your heart is really troubled, I recommend the large size God box. It really helps.
This week, we are invited to trust in God, the rock, and to take a break from worry. Let's take a break from our worries and ask yourself, what have I witnessed recently that helped me feel a steadfast love that was comforting?
I know it's hard, but this week, let's work on finding a moment to put a worry in our God box and to take a break from that worry, at least for a few minutes. This week, you're invited to complete the sentence, I experience comfort when, or I experience comfort in. As we prepare for our time of prayer together, you're invited to listen or to join in the singing of the song, Nothing Can Trouble.
Nothing can trouble, nothing can frighten. Those who seek God shall never go
It is difficult in this moment not to be near some of the people we love and might be worried about. Take a moment now to speak out loud the names of people you wish were right there next to you today. And as we name them, they are present with us in our hearts.
You are also invited to speak aloud names or situations you wish to pray for. For those who have lost loved ones.
For those who are sick and recovering.
For those who are caring for loved ones who are sick at home.
For those who are caring for persons in medical care.
For those who are separated from loved ones.
For those who are feeling alone and isolated.
For those who are helping and are so very tired.
For those who are struggling to find friends, comfort, food.
For those who are afraid.
If it is your practice to end your time of prayer by reciting the Lord's Prayer together, you're invited to do so. But if that's not your practice, you're invited to simply breathe in love and breathe out anxiety. God and community, holy in one, let us pray together the prayer that Jesus taught, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. You're invited now to stand up in body or in spirit and speak together our affirmation, repeating after me. We know Jesus is present among us.
We know Jesus is present among us.
Even in this virtual place.
Even in this virtual place.
We will not let fear be louder than love.
We will not let fear be louder than love.
But with glad hearts and rejoicing souls.
But with glad hearts and rejoicing souls.
We will sing God's praise.
We will sing God's praise.
Because we are an Easter people.
Because we are Easter people.
I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you.
I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you.
I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. What message does the world need to hear right now? How can we share Christ's words, do not let your hearts be troubled? How can we offer comfort to anyone who is feeling anxious? How can we use our troubled hearts into actions which share God's steadfast love with everyone?
Make your own plan today to share some comfort and some love. And share your ideas with us on Facebook. Our Facebook page is Westchester United Methodist Church, Los Angeles. We would love to hear from you.
You know that's right. As we close our time together, remember, God is always with you. No matter what you face, no matter what trials or hardships come your way, God is right beside you, ready to hold you, to be a rock for you, guiding and directing your path. So acknowledge your fear and your worry and know it is as true and holy as any feeling, including joy and hope and love. Take heart.
And to all who mother, as a mom, as a friend, a mentor, a teacher, a caregiver, a giver of comfort and love. We wish you a very blessed and happy Mothering Day.
May God's blessing pour out upon the women who gave us birth, and to all those beautiful, strong women of faith who have been mothers to us along our journey.
Well, it's time for me to head home.
Oh, but wait, we need to share all of the resources which we used in putting together this virtual worship.
Today's liturgy is by Dr. Marsha McPhee and Worship Design Studio. Our closing song was composed by the fabulous Melanie Demore. Well, gotta go. I have a virtual brunch with Mom, so see you later. You'd love it.
But yeah, I would love it. I'm available for Zoom meetings, but don't forget to put things in your God box. And I'm available for brunch and dinner.